So here we are. We're on the book Creative Strategy and the Business of Design, Part 3, written by Douglas Davis. I highly recommend this book. It's kind of like your crash course in business. And he talks about the B school for business, because there's the D school for design for business people. So why not have it the other way? There's some really interesting things that he's picked up from getting his degree in business. And he's a graphic designer, a creative person himself. So it's kind of interesting just to get his take on things and to see how many parallels there are to what he's doing and what we're doing and what we're teaching you guys. Really cool stuff. It is a bit of a read to get through this whole book. And today we're going to discuss chapters 6 through 9, I believe. And if you haven't bought the book already, you can use the link in the PDF that I'll provide later. I like to start off with a quote from a particular chapter, something that I find interesting. This is from Douglas himself. With order, I found clarity, which led to increased inspiration and risk-taking because I was on brand, on strategy, and on message. So a lot of creative people fear having structure and process, I think. We like to kind of take it and use our gut, our intuition, our instincts to guide what we do. And it could be really nerve-wracking. If you ever hit a deadline and had to put a layout, get a layout in front of a client, it can be quite difficult. So anyways, the first thing we're going to do is review the homework. And there was great participation across the board. So bravo, everybody. Thanks for doing that. And I see that we're starting to get into rhythm. Maybe I'm going to throw out a question to the group. First question I'm going to throw out is, what allowed you to do the homework this week? We had better participation than most. And the quality that came back was more or less following the homework assignment. So maybe you guys can take a moment to think about that and comment. And then Tina will just read them out as we go, okay? And if anybody wants to join us, we have room for one more person to join the conversation. It limits me to 4. So the screen, myself, and Tina are 3. Anyways, here's a reminder of the homework. I wanted you guys to identify your favorite brand. What is it about the language that speaks to you and why? Okay, so we need to know what brand it is. That's number 1. What is it about the language that speaks to you? And you need to articulate why. I think we want to get a little bit more analytical in our thinking. And we're going to see, some people did it better than others. What words did they use that catch your attention? And what did they mean to you? So if you didn't pull out an ad, it would have been great if you guys pulled out a couple of ads. And that way you can spot a pattern. I went to the editing workshop. And the editor says, in order for the audience to recognize a pattern, he says 1 won't, 2 might, 3 will. See, I'm holding up fingers in the air like you guys can see me and you guys can't. I just realized that. So having 3 things, like when you see 3 prime numbers, you can guess the 4th number. When you see 3 even numbers, you can guess the next one, etc. Okay? And then lastly, the hardest thing to do, I think, is understanding and connecting it to Maslow's hierarchy of needs. And just as a refresher, here's the pyramid. So at the bottom, survival. After you deal with the basic necessities to live, food, water, shelter, then there's security and ideas about belonging, importance. And the very top, the most difficult thing to achieve is self-actualization. Okay, so let's jump into the homework. Tina, any comments so far?
Yeah, so Mario says it's because that we're great students that we did homework. And I have to agree with him, obviously. And Amy, she says it was more obvious that there was homework. And I do agree with Amy as well.
Don't agree with everybody.
I don't agree with everybody, but I agree with these 2. Vern, she's making it a habit. Go Vern. And Amy says, yeah, a lot of people didn't know there was homework. So you scared them now, and now they know that they have to do homework. So good job, Chris.
If you watch the broadcast, typically speaking, we end with a homework assignment, and somebody very cleverly now screen captures it so that there's not even an excuse anymore, and they post it right away on the event. So if you guys look at the event, you'll see it.
Yeah, Amy did. Thank you, Amy.
All right, so now you guys know the thing, and I think maybe going back to doing it every other week gives you a little time to kind of collect your thoughts and fit it within your busy schedules. I totally understand that, so that's cool. All right.
Yeah, and I think you made it really clear on what we needed to do. It was really well laid out. So should we go through the list of people and look at their homework? Because there was quite a few
Yeah,
people
we're gonna
in
go through it
there.
right now because I have the slides up.
Okay.
All right, sorry, I had a cough there. Excuse me. Focus back on the screen here. Let me switch the app. All right, getting back into it here. Okay. Here's the first person. What I did was I downloaded these things off the Facebook comment, and they didn't come down as the highest resolution, but I grabbed them, and I don't remember who did what. So this is totally neutral, except for the one very obvious one. Mark Posh is in love with himself, so that one I know who it is, but everybody else I forgot who it is. Okay, so
You want me to
I'm
tell
not.
you who they are? So that
No, no,
one
no. It doesn't
was.
even matter. I actually
Oh,
rather
okay.
just talk about it, and then
Okay.
if that person has the question, they should comment. Okay. It really like we should look at this, and my approach in design and critical thinking is to be as objective about my own work as possible. It's a trapping to fall in love with your own work, guys. It really is. And so, at very kind of early on in my design career as a student, I became very detached. And the idea is you're very passionate while working on it. And once you release it, you hit Command P or you upload it to the internet, it's no longer your baby, and you have to be that critical. And it's like we need to destroy our babies to make us stronger. Okay, that's just my own philosophy there. So, anyways, I've never seen this brand before. I don't even know how to say it. Tina, do you know how to say this one? Is it
Fuel.
like fuel, but heal?
I think so. It's
Okay.
nice. I like it.
Or heal, like healing your body. So there's an
Yeah.
interesting play there. And you know, it looks like Helvetica to me, and you guys know how much I love Helvetica. So there you go. Okay, so the brand is Heal, and the language is simple, straightforward, and trustworthy. Now, what I am able to read, now granted, it is tiny. It says everything your body needs, nothing more. Okay. The words, the future of food, complete, human fuel, perfectly balanced, body, nutrient, sustainable, less waste, food revolution, easy, quick, healthy. Now, are these words that the advertising uses either on their website or in print or ad campaigns? That's what I want to know. Or are these words that you wrote in? Because when I scanned these assignments last night, I noticed a lot of people fill in the gaps. There's this kind of like more than meeting the brand halfway, which is an interesting psychological thing. I'm wondering if it's real or just people started writing these things trying to fill in blanks. What do you think, Tina?
Well, I think you're very specific, and you said what words stand out to you. I'm just going to reread the homework assignment in a sec.
Okay.
Yeah, what words do they use that catch your attention, and what do they mean to you?
Right. It's the words they use. It's not words you're supposed to use. We're not
No,
reverse
no, no.
engineering the
Yeah, yeah,
brand
yeah. Words they
attributes, right?
use.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
words they use.
So I haven't read them all, but what I did was I pulled out individual words that are used in their marketing campaigns.
Yeah, so that's one thing that we need to do, you guys. We're going to become masters at studying other people's brands and their strategy. And in order to do that, we kind of need to be very analytical about this process, okay? So I'm going to assume that these are words that they use in that packaging that I can't read. So rather than if we were to do this again, you guys, what we would rather do is not have images 2, 3, and 4 on this page and really show me their ad campaign or their website. So I get their logos really cool and it's very simple. It's understated. I get that. So there's the visual beauty to the simplicity of the design and the brand design, but I want to see their words. This is really about dissecting the words because otherwise it's all looks. And if we're talking about people, we want to go beyond what they look like. We want to know what they say and do and what they think. Okay. So let's assume this is it. Simple, straightforward, trustworthy is the language. And I like this part here. This is very nice. The need. So they broke it down into 3 parts. Uh, Physiological is the food. So I believe that would be like survival, right? And then safety, security of body and health, and belonging, being part of a growing community. So the 3 things that it hits on Maslow's pyramid or hierarchy of needs is physiological, safety, and belonging. So the bottom, safety, I assume, is like security, and then belonging. So it takes care of the bottom 3. Do you have any thoughts on that, Tina?
Um, I was just going to go back to what you said about just having having a campaign in there. I think maybe in the homework we need to be a little bit more specific about that, just because like you're talking about strategy, and I think like Will and I were just talking about this. Designers are kind of geared to focus on what looks great and not so much about the words and the strategy. So I think maybe that needs to be touched on again. Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Okay, so this must be Paulina's work then, because Paulina is including a link there. Now I'm afraid to click on it, so it may mess up.
I clicked on it, and it just goes to the images of that packaging.
Okay.
And the bottles.
Okay, so let's get back into this. So guys, let's change our habit. Now we want to. I'm trying to help this entire group become more strategic in your approach. And part of that is shaking off some old habits that you may or may not have picked up from design school. Okay. We're focused too much on these surface things, like the way things look, the packaging, the printing, the materials, and all that stuff, the materiality, if you will. We need to kind of shift our focus away from that and look at how things behave, look at consumer touch points, look at how they speak, look at the company culture. Because if we're to go out there and say, like, I'm a brand strategist, I'm a consultant, you can't just say that. Those are just words. And then you go right back to talking about a particular design, then you're gonna fall short there. Okay, so I like this particular brand quite a bit. This speaks to me quite honestly, but I would like to know a little bit more, and I don't have time to dig in there. Okay, this obviously speaks to the person as well, and I think they pretty correctly identified the three states that it addresses: belonging, security, and survival. Now, I would have liked a little bit more in-depth analysis, like your rationale or your thinking behind that. I think that would have been really good.
Mark Posh says it's pretty fluffy designer packaging. It doesn't show much of the context, the tribe, its purpose to identify with. To me, it's very much on
the packaging
surface.
itself.
I don't know.
Okay.
Oh yeah. The designer packaging.
Well, that's very interesting that Mark Posh says that, and I love this. And you guys feel free to comment, and Tina will continue to read them. That he says this is fluffy design and packaging. I actually think this is the opposite. This is almost like store brand generic packaging, but really beautifully laid out. There's a lot of restraint here. It's like one font. It's simple. There's no colors. It's just like the material itself, right? So it's just a clean white aluminum or cardboard or whatever that is. So I actually think it actually is in alignment with this simple, straightforward, and honest thing. This is the opposite
some
of
mixed
fluff.
reviews. Some people are saying sterile, clean, simple, under-designed. So I think it depends. I think it depends on who you are, right?
Okay, I like that. So this is all very subjective now.
Yeah.
So this is one of the problems that we're gonna run into, you guys, in that as creative people, we all have our own opinions, and my opinion is no more right than yours. You're entitled to your opinion too. And so when we're presenting our work to our client, let's say we're on the side of this is really great design, which I feel like it is, okay? And then we present it to the client, they're like, it's kind of underwhelming. Like, all you did was pick out a font. And you don't understand that it takes skills for me to lay this thing out. And then on the flip side, the people who are like, yeah, it is underwhelming. And then I say, well, what do you want? You want it to be like really like flashy? You want lots of colors in here? And if our brand is about this simple, straightforward thing, just the product, what else do you want?
So is that how you would pitch it to the client? Like, if you
no, I wouldn't. I'm just saying that when we get into the subjective conversation about good aesthetics versus bad aesthetics, on brand or off brand, we're in deep trouble already, because all we're talking about is the design. If we get into things like the messaging, the advertising, and the customer consumer touch points and the user journey, then you can really talk about something that's a little bit more objective. And that's where we need to shift our thinking in our conversation. And we have a lot of
taught that in school, though.
What's that?
I don't think you really taught those things in school.
Well, that's why we're here.
I
would talk about this in my class, and we get into some deep stuff. Like I would spend like 1 hour critiquing a single frame and trying to understand every little thing. Like, you're making all these decisions, and you need to be conscientious of the decisions that you're making. Now, we had said before, on a different call that design is the end result of a process of thinking, not at the beginning. And I know that that rubs people the wrong way, but I truly believe that. It's a series of decisions that you're making, and the design is just the final form it takes. Go ahead.
Jared asked to jump on.
Okay, Jared, I'm adding you. Give me 1 second. He wants to join the debate. Okay. Where are you, Jared? Why am I not seeing Jared?
pt3.
Let's see live here. There he is. There he is. Because you don't have a picture, Jared. You're killing me. He's got the generic icon for a person.
Mm-hmm.
Right here. Cool, cool.
There you go. Jared, what do you want to say?
You know, I always see, you know, it would have been nice for them to share a bit of the story. Of course, you know, preface it, I'm coming from a copy standpoint, but I love it when art and copy kind of mix together. And there's a brand called Angie's that does this thing called Boom Chicka Pop, which is like awesome, kind of like they do the kettle corn and all this stuff. But, you know, I always feel like, and I see kind of like this thing that's missing is that, like, what's the problem and how are they the solution to that problem? And it could be such a quick sentence, which is basically like in Huel. Could have been something like, you know, the problem with most food is it doesn't give you the kind of, you know, minerals and things that you need. Huel was developed to solve that, you know, and then it kind of goes into certain things. I see, like, you know, there's just a bit of the emotional connection for me, I think, you know,
that is missing
that stuff and a little bit of the story, you know what I mean? And that comes like, who's their audience, right? Which is, if it's people that are on the go, you know, great. You know, the problem with most on the go food is that it doesn't give you, sure, it gives you all of the great, you know, stuff that you need quickly, but we dug deeper into the food and minerals, you know, and I'm just kind of going off certain stuff, but you know what I mean? Like,
yeah. And I'm reading some of the comments here, Jared.
Yeah.
So it seems like this is a fairly new company, and I suspected that they may not have the advertising budget or the marketing budget to hire like a whole agency. And Paulina, did you design this? Did you work on this campaign? Now, people are, if they're doing that, they're sneaking in stuff. Okay, no, not this one. All right. It's like sneaking in the design critique right on our live call here. If you're submitting your own work, you guys, it's kind of really sneaky. I wish I did. Okay, that's what she's saying. So Jared's coming at this, you guys. And of course, look, copywriters going to care about the words, designers are going to care about the images, but what we should really care about is the message that it's communicating, whether it's words or images.
Sure.
And that's the really important thing. And we want to be able to be very systematic and scientific at breaking these things down.
And there's
granted.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, I mean, and then there's, right, like even a book cover, like say, for instance, there's a psychology to that. People, you know, look at a book cover and then most the science is that what most people do is then they flip it over on the back and then they open up the inside, you know? So I think the science to certain things is that, okay, so if they read that, probably what they're going to do after they read the cover, they're going to flip it over in the back. Then what do you say on the back? You know, there's still, I think, I was reading Marty Neumeier's kind of the brand flip, and he talks about like product packaging is, you know, I think the simple things to kind of communicate in there. And I'm kind of thinking that is kind of like, you know, what is this? Why should I care? You know, how's this going to solve my problem? Something like that. But I think where the copy and the design could come into play is understanding the psychology and the human behavior, picking something like that up, seeing the front, what needs to be on the back, and, you know, all that kind of stuff. So I totally get it.
All right. So there's some debate here. Mark Posh is very clearly the guy for maximalist design and not minimalist. And so that's neither here nor there. We can all have our own design preferences. I personally have appreciation for both. When I was doing some very distressed type, I can get into this very grungy layered thing. And then I can also go flip it on the other side and go something as simple as Huel. And they both speak to me. And it's really about what's right for the brand. It's not about imposing my own aesthetic. Okay. We're going to move on because we have a lot of these things to do. And I see that we're already 25 minutes into this thing. So good job overall. I want to say that the homework and assignments will never be explicitly like written out. Like I don't have that kind of time, you guys. You guys should now understand if I give you a little prompt, you have to be thinking at the highest levels. This is not the intro 101 group, okay? We're here because we want to grow our respective studios and agencies and our way of thinking. And if you're doing the stuff that you normally do in school, it's like you got to like really step up. We're talking about creative strategies here, not about necessary aesthetic and design. I'm going to keep going here. And we don't get to all of the deck. That's totally okay. The deck isn't that deep anyways today. So we'll see. All right. This one, I know who did this one because I remember. This one's called Salt and Straw. And I've seen this ice cream shop before. I can't remember if it was in Canada or where I saw this. But okay, so there's the brand right there. Salt and Straw has a very simple aesthetic. So the keyword, small batch, chef-driven, made by hand, in Portland. And I think this was Amy Guzman here. So let's talk about this. Maslow's need, self-actualization through an ice cream store. This is really incredible, guys. Somebody really loves the ice cream. Okay, so here's what Amy wrote. I think it's Amy Guzman. The Maslow need. Amy, is this you? You want to jump on? Yeah, it's me. Okay, look, I'll jump you on. I'll bring you on. Jared, I'm going to drop you out.
Yeah, sure.
Okay, thanks, man. Amy Guzman, invite on screen. Yes. Okay, Amy, while you're getting added. So I'm going to, oops. Oh, that was fast, Amy. Good job. There you are. Hello.
I'm here. I'm ready.
Ready. Good job. Here we are. Okay, focus back on the screen. Now, she's like saying the Maslow need for Salt and Straw is addressing is self-actualization, okay? Choosing Salt and Straw over other ice cream brands is as much about the person's identity as it about taste. Okay? They use phrases like small batch and chef-driven. These words indicate that their ice cream is artisan and higher quality than other ice cream. It's clear that they are prideful about having started in Portland, and I think their customers appreciate that as well. All right, so let's have some spirited discussion about this. So I love the small batch, chef-driven, made by hand. That says something about it. So it's kind of anti-mass-made. What's a mass-made brand like? Dryers?
Mm-hmm.
I'm not an ice cream guy. What are some other brands? The big brands. Haagen-Dazs. Okay, that's the one I wanted to say. So this is kind of antithetical to that, right?
Yeah.
Okay. How does this help you figure yourself out?
Well, because you're choosing this one because it's in alignment with your own values.
I hear that, but everything you buy and every service you participate in is a choice about something that reflects about you. That's just a core part of every brand.
Yeah.
And every purchase you make isn't like I buy an Apple. It's not really helping me to figure myself out. Is it?
Yeah, that's true.
So I think really part of this is about belonging to a tribe of people who care about small batch handmade ice cream where it's cutting out the middleman. It's not factory. It's
craftsmanship too.
Craftsmanship, right? Artisanal. It's all that kind of stuff that we like a lot now. It's locally made and sourced and sustainable and organic, all that kind of stuff. So we want to belong to that society or that group of people, right?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I like this kind of old-timey design that they've got. The letter forms are a little kind of funky and it's, I don't know, what would you describe this, like Main Street USA aesthetic?
Yeah.
Like when things were simpler. So it's nostalgic. Okay, so here's my critique on your thing. Again, there's no advertising. I don't know where you got the words from. I would like to see their campaigns, their packaging, their menu design, anything else that we can see to help us understand the way they speak to us. And if they're doing a great job at their branding, then they should transform everything they say. You know, so it's nothing is generic. It's all spoken from their voice. Now, I'm going to ask you this because you didn't write this. What does the word small batch, chef-driven mean to you? Like, how do you personally connect to that?
I think it's another way of saying artisan and like what you said, anti-mass produced, and it means that they care about the product and the quality of it. And chef driven, it's like it kind of appeals to a designer too, because it's like there's a mastermind behind it who's very carefully choosing what ingredients to use. That's what I think of chef driven and small batch. Yeah, it's like very it feels like limited edition, made by
There's
hand.
like that sense of scarcity.
Yeah. Well, not scarcity in a bad, because that has like a bad connotation, but
What do you mean?
scarcity has like a bad connotation.
Why does that have a bad connotation?
Because scarcity implies that there's some type of fear involved.
No, scarcity means that there are not as many of these things to have. Like there's 12 tickets left for the concert. So it creates desire.
I guess you're right, but it's not like they're in short supply because they ran out of ingredients. It's more by design. It's on purpose, where scarcity kind of implies like shortage, not by your choosing though.
Oh, okay. All right. I get what you're saying now. I get it.
Yeah.
Because when in the past, when we've talked about the scarcity mindset, you're fearful that there are only a few number of things, right? So it makes you kind of desperate. But when you talk about on the other side, there's all the leverage and the power. For example, if I'm a mass-made ice cream, well, I'll buy one today, I'll buy one tomorrow, whatever. But these stores tend to have lines out the door because they can only produce so much at a time. There's like 2 people scooping it, and it's a 30-minute wait. That's scarcity.
I really like what Sean said, actually. He said,
What is Sean saying?
The reason you'd spend more on handcrafted rather than mass-produced is because you feel you deserve the care and dedication it takes to make the product. So almost, I don't know if he means sense of entitlement, but you deserve more. And I like that approach.
Well, I think there's something that's going on in our society and our culture in that we're now talking to each other through digital interfaces like today. We're not having a meeting in a room. And we're longing for that kind of human-to-human contact. So I would love to have seen like a poster where you actually get to see the chefs that are working on this or a little personality about who's behind it. I was eating at Pono Burger the other day, and inside their cafe or restaurant, they hang signs of the owner, and she's in the field with her daughter, and they're talking to farmers. Now, it's totally a crafted piece of marketing. I get that. But like, I don't know who's the guy or the gals behind making food at other places, but I get a sense of their story because they're all about locally sourced, sustainable, organic products using the best ingredients. So they tell you about the farmer and where it's coming from, and they do it through visuals and a few words. So again, you guys, I understand what ice cream looks like, and I get a sense of their packaging. This kind of this Americana with the flags and all the red and white stripes. I totally get that. Again, I would like to see a little bit more of their branding as is experience from the customer's point of view, not just the ice cream. Okay. Really good. We're going to have to power through this, my God, because it's like 8:30. Okay. Let's keep going. Thanks, Amy.
You're welcome.
Okay. And you can stay on until the next person's ready and they'll jump on too. And so feel free to say whatever. This is Publix. I've never heard of this before. It's food and pharmacy, right? So the language, helpful, welcoming, consistent, warm, purpose-driven, caring, communicated via in-store interactions. The words in the tagline. Where shopping is a pleasure. Maslow's needs, esteem, self-respect, and respect from others. Esteem. Where's the esteem on this? Is it belonging or security? Okay. Again, we have to take your word for it because I don't see anything but a logo and a guy helping another person with their shoelaces, I believe, an elderly gentleman, right? So I don't know if this is you interpreting it or these are their words and then reading your interpretation. I don't know. So whose is this? I don't know who's this. Are they on the call?
I'll look at the page and find out who it is.
Is this Vern? Oh, Vern's saying it's on page 31.
Page 31 of what?
Of the the book, I think.
Oh, okay. Okay, Vern, since you have it, you can read it to us. Or, okay, I'm sorry, she can't read it to us. My bad.
I can read it.
There it is. Okay. Oh.
So esteem is the second one after self-actualization.
Mm-hmm.
So it's after belonging and before
It's
self-actualization.
Self-esteem, confidence, achievement. Okay. All right, there it is. So self-esteem, confidence, achievement, respect for others. Oh. You guys feel that from this?
No, not at all.
Why not?
Oh, I don't know.
I can't just stop you with a why not, and then that's it. It's the end of your argument.
It's just like, I think the whole feel of this layout is just driving me crazy. I don't really know what's happening down to Graph over there.
Something that Vern put together. This is not necessarily their whole thing, but
I'd like to see some more pieces. Like, it's hard.
Okay,
for
that's
me
a
to
reoccurring
tell.
theme, right?
Yeah, it's really, really hard to tell. You know what? I'm going to do a Google search to see if I can find some more.
Okay,
stuff
you do
on
that.
this.
And, Amy, what do you want to say?
I think it's more about, I'm reading from the book here, safety. So security of body, employment, resources, morality, family health, or property. It seems like their demographic is an older crowd, and it's a pharmacy store. That's what it feels like to me more than the others.
Okay.
Because it feels like it could be, well, it's not physiological, because even though they're there to get like pharmacy brands, I mean, it looks like they take care of their customers if they're time.
You know what, guys? I know what the problem is here. I think you guys are looking at it from a brand proposition and filling in all the blanks. This is really about marketing and messaging. So if there was an ad that we can look at, like, just do it. And what's that doing to you personally? So without seeing that, so the only thing that I have here is where shopping is a pleasure. And I gotta be honest, that doesn't do a whole lot for me personally.
Yeah, the website actually, like, I don't know if you can click on it, but it does have really great messaging on it, and it's really clear.
Okay, so can you read that?
Plan, shop, save, online, easy ordering, create personal experiences, and they have a lot of like pictures of people working with chefs, and yeah, it's really, really clearly laid out. But I still think there's too much going on the website as well, though.
Okay, but we're not here to. I keep trying to steer this group away from talking about aesthetics and design, and really about marketing.
I know what you're saying. I know. We'd have to go through this, right?
Yes, we are.
It's just a lot. There's a lot going on.
Yeah. So your job is, okay, look, guys, I'll tell you this, and then anybody can comment on this. All right, I'm gonna focus the screen. Let me see here. Sorry, focus on myself. All right. There was this really great ad, and I can't remember what sport brand did this, and I think I've described it to you before, where there's like a road and it's going up like a street in San Francisco, and it just keeps going up, and you see a row of homes, like Victorian homes, and there's copy, and the ad is entirely red, black and white, with red overlay on it. So it's all red, and you see a little white type. Excuse me. And the ad says, excuse me, just to the lamppost. And then in smaller type, it says just to the mailbox, just to the car, just the end of the block, just to the park, just to the it just keeps going on, and the type gets smaller and smaller until it goes into the horizon line and towards the vanishing point. And I read that. As a student, I'm not into exercise at this time. And I was like, wow, this is so good. If I was a runner, this must be what runners think about. And like little goals, like you go and you're like, oh, I could do a little bit more, and I could do a little bit more. And it really speaks to me. And I feel like, okay, there's a little bit of a challenging voice. And this does now speak to my own self-esteem about breaking and pushing past goals. That's a message, you guys. Not just saying like, feel good about yourself. We're about this or that. Describing what you do or think isn't the messaging. how you say that and craft it in a way that Jer would write it or Dave Waite would write it, that's the messaging part. You guys understand the difference? Or not?
Yeah, I think so.
Okay. All right, guys. I don't know. Maybe I'm losing you guys. Maybe we need to do a little.
People are saying yes. It's just different though, right? Because we're trained to look at design.
Right.
And I absolutely agree with you, hands down. But it's going to take some rewiring.
All right.
It's going to take some work.
I'll tell you another
You gotta
ad
be
that I
patient
saw that
with
I
us.
love. And I have a book. Actually, I have several books. When I mean a book, it's like a 3-inch, 3-ring binder of ads that I've cut out personally, of organized and broken into groups of 7 kind of categories. Okay. And this is one of my strengths. Like somebody asked me before, like on a call or something, I can't remember. But like, what's your secret weapon? Like, what's your unique thing? My unique thing is I'm insane. When I find something I like, I go super deep and I lose myself in that thing. So for a while, I was studying ads. I was like looking at visual ads, copywriting, the pairing of words and images together, and I had this master book. So one of my, she was an apprentice of mine, and she's like, well, where do we start? I'm like, go through my book. Literally go through every single ad I've clipped and tell me what they mean to you. And to be honest, some of them she got and some of them she couldn't understand. I had to explain it to her. All right, so I'm going to explain one ad to you guys right now. So it's like a left-right ad where the left side is a bunch of stuff. It's kind of disorganized and laid out a certain way. And on the right side, it's all neatly organized into groups by colors and shapes and sizes. And at the bottom of it, it says Beasley. You guys know the brand Beasley? They make file cabinets, like the ones I have right here. You see that red and black thing in the corner?
Yeah.
Right there? That's Beasley. So you understand, like that speaks to my OCD. Like when I see everything organized in group, like so organized, I'm like, oh, I need to buy it right. That's an ad. That's a campaign. And they do 2 or 3 of these things. They don't tell you where organize or organize your crap, because that's not that isn't anything. That's just part of the strategic discovery. Okay. Now, Douglas Davis talks about taking your insights and translating into messaging. Ooh, we got some work to do as a group. All right, let's power through this. Okay. Sorry. End rant. Tina, are you laughing at me?
Yeah. I'm scared.
That's cool. All right, Harley Davidson. I know who did this one too. This is Tim. Harley Davidson's a well-known brand. Okay, there are ads here, guys. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the ad group. There are ads in here. Yeah. Amazing. All right, let's see what he wrote. Harley Davidson has spoken to me for years. Its history, being a rebel, a rule breaker, a cowboy outlaw, the open road, small towns, fast chicks, and being a part of a big club. Being a badass is cool. Freedom, loud pipes, leather, motor oil. I get it. Oftentimes, it's the absence of words that make their ads brilliant and speak to me. The use of humor, such as my Harley Davidson will never friend me, limit me to 140 characters, or sell me an unlimited data plan. It's social love and belonging. So he's done a really good job of breaking this down. So if you read some of these things, some of their ads, it is kind of humorous. It is a little sexist, guys, and that's their brand. And that must speak to Tim. 100 years ago, there was no pavement, no highways, but there were many eligible girls in the next town. Okay, the rest of it I cannot read. There's one here. It's brilliant. It says unfollow. So if we were to break this brand down and what it says to you, what is it saying? Does Tim want to jump on, or anybody else, or we can still have the girls and myself?
Tim, do you want to jump on? Just put it in the comment box. We do. He said yes, he'll jump on.
Okay, jumping on.
So you know what? I have to go. So why don't you move me? And you're recording this, right?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, I want to listen to the rest.
Okay.
Okay, thanks for having me.
Take care.
Okay, bye, guys.
Bye. And then now we bring Tim. Where is he? There he is. Inviting you on the screen, Tim. So, Amy, you break it down while we're waiting for Tim.
Okay. Well, with the unfollow one, I think it definitely goes back to the idea of being a rebel and thinking for yourself and not going by the rules.
Yeah. There's a lot that unfollow says,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
It says
So
to
the
me,
one
like,
word.
you know what? You guys in your digital world doing all your social nonsense and pinning images and tweeting, whatever. We're going to get on a motorcycle and we're just going to connect to what matters to us. I like that a lot. That's really smart, you guys. See, like, if somebody wrote there, like, don't follow the rules, this and that, that's not creative to me. Unfollow is. Tim.
Hello.
Hey, man. What do you want to
Can you
say?
hear me?
Yes.
So yeah, first and foremost, yeah, Harley is a little bit on the sexist side, but it goes both ways. So if you're a female, they're equally, the opposite way. So, and they do have. I was trying to look for some female ads,
Okay.
that speak directly towards kind of like belittling men, and there is some. I just couldn't find any. So it's just kind of cool. It is. It's
you know what that's like though? That's like a certain president saying, "I have a lot of black friends," and then like, here's two. Like I
well,
believe it's true,
yeah,
but
yeah. I don't know. I think that the outside appearance of the Harley group is that they're kind of exclusive, but they're really inclusive group of people. So they're very diverse. So
but they cultivate and maintain that image. You know that.
Yeah.
So it's not like we have a wrong conception of it. They support it and they push it, knowing very well doctors and lawyers are their best customers.
Oh yeah. And
so there's the image, and you wanting to join that band of rebel cowboys, right?
Yeah. The thing is that I've wanted to join that rebel cowboy scene since I was 6. So the very first time I rode on a motorcycle, and I own one. So, and I do a lot of riding. Mm-hmm. I'm thinking about riding down to LA. I'm not really sure yet. But I love it. So, and Harley just kind of speaks to me. So it was a no-brainer for me.
Sure. And I asked you guys to pick brands that you love, not brands you like, brands that you really love. So again, I think you helped us out a lot by including their ads, and you can tell about their photography and the words that they choose from Unfollow and the next town over, they're eligible girls. So it is sexist. It's unapologetic. It's very much what's that called? Not politically correct, and proud of it. And so I think in this time when we have kind of like these social norms about what you're supposed to say and do, at least you get on your bike and just be connected to that and not worry about the rest. I think that's what it's saying.
So one of the
go ahead.
Yeah, so one of the comments was it touches on self-actualization, and I originally had it for that, but then I had to think a little because you're kind of you're a part of something, you're a part of a group, you belong. It's kind of more or less that it hits the heart. So
here's what I would love to do, right? Here's what theoretically, if we could hit the rewind button 2 weeks ago, really what you should do is you should do what we did before, which was show me the ad, point to that word, circle that, and says this is how it does this for society. Right? Yeah. It wants to be a one-to-one connection. So we're that granular in how we're breaking these things apart, guys.
Well, the one ad where it says my Harley Davidson will never friend me, limit me to 140 characters. That's that actually, if you look over by the tattoo guy, it's right next to that one. Yep.
Okay. And what does that say to you?
It just says that, you know what, I don't really give a shit. So this is me in my life, and I don't care if you follow me. I don't care if I don't care about anything really. It's just me and my bike and the road.
Okay, so if you look at this, you guys, I want you guys to dive a little deeper. The words that they choose, I mean, they have an agency, a big agency that does their advertising, right? So it says it will never friend me. Where do we friend people?
Facebook.
Okay. It will never limit me to 140 characters.
Twitter.
Where is that? That's on Twitter. It'll never sell me an unlimited data plan.
Verizon.
One of those things. So it's speaking very specifically, and I want you to be more specific in your breakdown of this, okay? So they're talking about doing like a very anti-tech, very anti-trend thing that's all happening.
yeah, they're a nostalgia brand, so they have to. It's to their advantage when they keep that kind of that old school kind of thing going on.
Right. So we have a lot of space here. It's interesting. Everybody like has like color palettes, like you're doing a mood board for them. If you zoom in on the ad, you point to that and you say this, this, and this. That's what it's saying. And then you do 2 or 3 of these things, and you'll notice a pattern. That's what we're trying to do. We're trying to figure out and reverse engineer this kind of stuff.
Got it.
Okay. So at least you've given us enough ads to work with. And so what I want you to do is really attack the ad, study the words, and try to figure out what's happening. What are they trying to plug into in your own brain? Okay.
Got it. Yeah. Understood.
Perfect. All right. Let's keep moving along here. Oh, I'm sorry, Amy. You wanted to say something.
Oh yeah, I was gonna say that you were saying that they're sexist and not politically correct. I think their target audience wouldn't even think of that as sexist or not sexist.
You know, you can read more about Harley Davidson brand and how they manage it. But a long time ago, it was a bunch of like, I think criminals and drug dealers and pimps and whatever else was going on. And they've harnessed that image into something pretty powerful. And their bikes are pretty expensive relative to other bikes, right, Tim?
Yes. Yeah. So yeah,
it's turned into this group of people who want to join that tribe, even though that tribe isn't real anymore, in a sense.
Yeah.
So they are aware of it. They may not be aware that they're aware of it. It's on a subconscious level.
Yeah, but
you
I guess like Tim wouldn't say like that he's a sexist just because he follows them or likes them.
How do you know that?
So so this is where, like, when I step out of my leather and off my bike, then I have to be a little more civil. But you know, I'm a different kind of guy when I'm hanging out with the other guys and ladies and that type of thing. And it's just, we don't even, to your point, Amy, we don't bring it up. It's there. We know it's there, but it's kind of like our free zone. We don't have to really worry about life around us. Yeah. It's just freedom. We don't have to worry about someone ridiculing us. We can go ahead and talk about, we can objectify one another. So it's just part of the scene.
You see, so there's this idea of freedom and being true to who you are, and they appeal to that. So we don't care about what you want, what you say, what's right and wrong. So for the time in which he's connected to the brand and other writers, he gets to experience that full throttle freedom. And I think you're underestimating the power of their tribe and the desire to join that tribe. Okay, just think about that. There's a whole bunch of group of people who go to Hooters. Okay, and you're like, well, are they sexist? Are they pigs? Are they grabbing people's parts? No, they're not. But there's something there that appeals to them, and we don't fully understand that until we study it.
Well, and for me, Hooters is just dirty. I hate that place. So just
no, I know that's not your place. But if you read Marty Neumeier's book, he'll break it down for you, and he does.
So, but Amy, you can see though, I said that, like you wouldn't catch me in Hooters at all. It's yucky. It's like, I'd rather just go to a dive bar.
Sorry. I'm not trying to equate Harley Davidson with Hooters, but they're very polarizing brands. Okay.
Yeah.
Right. And so in Marty Neumeier's book, if somebody wants to be the archivist here and dig that thing up in the brand gap, he talks about that. He's like, every brand that understands itself also understands who they are for, and they're very clear about it. So I think for Hooters, it's like for older men with overactive libidos who want this and that and don't care, right? And if you read the Hooters tagline, it's pretty funny. So if somebody can find the Hooters tagline, we're going to move on. What they say, and they're very honest about who they are. All right. I think we'll not get into the book, but let's see what happens here. All right, I'm going to move through this pretty quickly, you guys. All right, here we are. We're on Honda. It's personable, smart, and involving. Personable, smart, involving, okay? So the ad says, these are really old ads, by the way. It looks like super ancient. So somebody's going through the archives here. In 5 years, you'll have more rattles, creaks, and loose screws than it will. Okay. That's a double-edged statement there. But let's keep going. Take one out and open it up. I don't know what that means. Maybe open it up on the road. Okay.
No, open the hood.
What's that?
Open the hood.
Well, literally, it's showing that, but typically ads don't literally mean the same thing that you think. It's usually a pun, but we'll see. It could mean open up the hood, like in the picture, but I can't tell. Until I can read it, and I can't read the rest of this. It's just too blurry. Okay. Words, performance, runs like no other vehicle in its class. Does it say that? So whoever did this, did the ad say runs like no other vehicle in its class? Okay, sophisticated way to tell people apart. Driving me this car says I'm special. Withstand the test of time. Built so well. Matters need safety, protection, security, esteem, achievement, independent. I don't know if I personally agree with this because I know Honda as a brand. Like my dad owns one. These are not things that he thinks and feels. Honda and Toyota's, operate in a similar principle. You buy it and you forget about it. It's not about self-esteem. If it's about self-esteem, it's like a Porsche or some other thing, right? It's not when you make it, you go out and buy yourself a Honda. I saw a Mercedes ad a long time ago, and it said, someday when I make it, someday when I get the corner office, I'm going to buy a Mercedes. And then as far as safety is concerned, I think Volvo owns that market. So if anything, Honda and Toyotas are not sexy. They're just really dependable. They'll run forever. All right, I'm going to keep moving on. Did somebody find the Hooters thing? No? All right.
Hooters makes you happy? Is it that one?
No, it's...
I don't know. I don't see it.
Like last time we were talking about the strip bar in Seattle. It's like 39 beautiful women and one ugly one.
Yeah,
really
I don't
honest.
see it.
Or clever. Maybe they're not that honest. All right. Somebody picked highlight. I hope it's not Tina picking highlight, but somebody picked highlight.
That was me.
Oh, it's you. Okay.
Yes.
Oh, you did two of them?
Yeah, I did too.
Okay.
And I only did that because I'd mentioned that I was going to do a couple of favorite brands. I like Highlight as an agency. I think they're really just kind of cool. They're trendy and they use bright colors and they're cool people and they kind of let themselves shine through. And they're good at what they do. So for me, it was just, because you look at their site, you look at their blogs, you look at what they talk about. Tina has shown some work that she's done, and so has Peter and William. So you get to know them, and because for me, it's like I'm trying to start up an agency, and I'm like, okay, well, how can I emulate?
Right. You're trying to study it.
So yeah, so these guys are kind of there. They're a long ways away from me.
Okay, all right. Here's how I want you guys to look at this then. Let's say, and I've done this before, I've asked you guys to taste a very complex dish like a soup, right? And then I ask you, what are the ingredients in it? And you can't tell me the ingredients. Well, the chances of you being able to replicate that is going to be very difficult. What I get here is you're describing how the meal made you feel and what it tasted like to you in your mind, but not necessarily the ingredients. Like I want to see you zoom in, focused on each one of these little parts. This line, circle that with that image says this.
And I think I kind of did. I didn't, they use the word high. That's a cool branding word, and the way they spell it. When they talk about, let's work together, they use ready to grow as opposed to let's work together. They're makers, but they're also passionate about what they do, and they have a lot of spirit in what they got done. And, it's like, and they use words like get shit done. So, and loves the TH. So I think that.
So what does that say to you when they use some profanity there?
So good shit done is just like, just say it. I mean, so I like people that are educated enough to actually use an expletive in a very educated way. And that's done in a very educated way.
Okay, and I would love to see that then, because I can't see that given the size of my screen.
Yeah, okay. Yeah,
right? That's what I'm saying.
I know that this was, so I uploaded this thing at 300 DPI, and it was probably 10 megabytes. So it was much larger. It's just too bad. I should have just sent it to you.
Yeah, so I think it's one of those things but let's talk about just system design, okay? A lot of times designers are like, well, and I say, I can't read your frame. It's like the printer was too dark, or, it's a crappy paper. No, it's not. It's actually an issue of design. So if you zoom in to the parts that are important and you circle it and you point an arrow to it, then I understand. So Tim, when you use decks for your client, don't depend on them zooming in, looking at every little granular detail.
Yes, I know. I need to focus. I need to focus them in.
That's exactly what I'm about to say.
Yeah,
you want to focus.
I got it.
That's the system of design. Okay.
Yep.
When you see our brand audits, when I look at a company's vertical and their competitors, all that kind of stuff, in their vertical or not, I only show 2 or 3 things, and designers always give me the layout, and it's kind of like, what do you want me to look at, dude? And I'll zoom in all the way into it and circle it and retype it and like there, right? We don't want to direct the conversation. So at most, we're going to be able to pull 2 or 3 things from this slide, and that's it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I could have done. Yeah, I will. Thanks.
Okay.
Yep.
Perfect.
Sean, okay, I think Sean found the Hooters tagline. He says it's delightfully tacky yet unrefined.
There you go. Thank you, Sean. Somebody's paying attention to the brand gap. See, delightfully tacky. They know they're tacky, and yet unrefined, or something like that. Is that what it says, Amy?
Yeah, unrefined.
Yeah, perfect. See, they know who they are. I've only been to Hooters once. A friend of mine said, let's go get some chicken wings. I'm like, are you serious? And I'll tell you right now, the chicken wings are gross. All right. If they come to California or America and like, let's go. I'm like, oh man, all right. All right. This was like a 3-page one. I think they're all connected. Where is it? It begins here. So favorite brand. This person must be European, the way they spelled favorite. Etnia Barcelona Eyewear. The city that inspires us. So this whole color research here. All right. Inspired, creative, passionate, contemporary. Instead of selling, they share their process and explain their why. As a customer, I feel included, inspired. Okay. It's free human, multi-ethnic, but above all. Okay. I can't read all that stuff. Why does this speak to me? Etnia's philosophy describes everything I stand for as a creative person, as a challenger, explorer, and a person pursuing growth. They directly speak to my underlying Maslow need of belonging, esteem, and self-actualization. The philosophy originals collection is for creators. Okay. All right. So this is a system this is nicely laid out. And I think I know who did this. Is it Ivana who put this together? It's a nice layout. Again, you guys, help me focus. Just find the one thing that you see, box it in, make it simple. People don't have time to read all stuff, So, and in one of these things, so here's what we see. We're seeing a focus on design and aesthetics and colors, and not actually on the messaging. So if we do this again, which we're not, and I would encourage you to do this for yourself and for your clients when you're trying to tell them some of these brand architecture and study it, you're going to want to show those exact pieces, and you want to highlight those things and tell me the key takeaway. And it has to be a one-to-one connection. Otherwise, it's like you reading tea leaves, and it's just really, well, that's up to your interpretation, isn't it? Okay. And, because we have a lot of things to review, I can't sit there and read every single word here and try to figure it out. Okay. All right. I know this is Tina's because her logo's on here. And her name's up at the top. Find your greatness. I think this is an ad for Nike, but the logo got cropped out here. But it says there, right? Motivates, inspires, and gives a gut sensation of being catapulted through obstacles. Battle, challenge, change, dedicate to, do dreaming, grid, grind, excuses, more possible. Maslow, self-actualization needs, realizing personal potential, self-fulfillment, seeking personal growth. Okay, that's a pretty good breakdown. Find your greatness. So you guys want to talk about this? I'm hearing a little echo. Is that Tim's speaker being too loud, or is that something else?
I got stuff going on in the background. You can go ahead and take me off, Chris.
Okay.
I can't.
No, I'm just going to toggle your mic.
Down.
Okay, let me see if it's. I'm getting feedback. Let me toggle your mic for 1 second. Can you guys? Yeah, it's Tim's speaker
Oh, oops.
Is it?
Well, it sounds a lot clearer now.
Yeah, I think it's Tim's speaker. So, Tim, I'm gonna bounce you off this thing. All right. Okay, we're back to this. Anybody else wants to jump in? You can jump in. Okay, Amy, it's you and me now.
So,
what do you think?
Yeah, so this one says find your greatness. This one's really about like achievement, even if you're scared or you're scared of failing or you feel like you can't do it or you're not a real runner, so like you can run a marathon. I mean, I'm kind of reading between the lines here, right?
Yes, you are.
Yeah.
Let's not read between the lines. Let's look at this image and this ad in particular, this headline.
Okay. So it's a little boy. He's kind of nervous because he has his hand kind of like, am I really going to do this?
Yeah,
and
that tells you I'm not sure. He's unsure.
Yeah. And then it says find your greatness.
And we see what's in front of him. What? It's a pretty high dive.
Yeah.
That's a fear we can all connect with, right?
Yeah.
A very specific
that actually happened to me when I was taking swimming lessons. I was like really little and I had to jump off the diving. It was awful. And I still have a fear of it today.
Okay. And then the line says, find your greatness. What is that doing to you? If I tell you, Amy, find your greatness.
If you tell me?
Yeah, if I'm saying to you right now, Amy, find your greatness, how do you feel?
Well, it's telling me that I have greatness and I have to find it.
Okay,
right?
Can you use words that aren't used in the headline?
It means that I have something special within, that it's just about bringing it out.
Okay, thank you. See, that's much better, right?
Yeah.
If I'm like, well, Amy, tell me what find your greatness means, and you're like, well, I have greatness, I need to go find it.
Well, because I don't want to read between the lines. You're kind of
no. Okay, I'm sorry.
So I just want to.
Okay, perfect. This is a perfect opportunity for me to talk about this.
Okay.
I want you to try to dissect and break this thing down and tell me what it means. But when you talk about running and all that stuff, it's like you're connecting to a whole nother thought. It's not even on this page. Yeah. So there is such a thing as reading between the lines, and then 6 degrees of separation later, you're going to tell me a story. Okay?
Yeah.
So here's how I interpret this. When somebody says find your greatness, it's a challenge. Like, are you good enough? That's a challenge to me. And I get fired up because, I talk about this hashtag, prove them wrong. So find your greatness. You're saying that maybe I have potential, but I haven't hit it yet. And I look at this little boy, and it's a little boy, and we can all relate to that little child in us that's afraid of things. And I got to be honest with you, I have a slight fear of heights. So looking at this, I'm like, oh my God. And then he's like, get over yourself, dude. Just go. And what's the worst that can happen? A lot of stuff packed into this thing. And of course, Nike, their advertising is done by Wyden and Kennedy. They do brilliant award-winning ads. So here, I'd love to see 2 or 3 of these things so we can spot a pattern. Like Mini Cooper has a long-standing ad campaign. Absolute Vodka, Visa or MasterCard. Okay? So you can understand it. Anyways, let's move on. Whew. Do we want to just move on to the deck, or do we want to just go through all the homework assignment? What do you think, Amy? What do you guys want?
Let's see. Let's have some comments. What do you guys want? I think we should move to the deck.
Okay, is that what everybody's saying? Deck.
Yeah, everybody. Oh,
okay,
Freddie
cool.
wants to finish the homework.
Who does?
Freddie. Freddie, do you have a homework in here that we haven't gone over that's yours? Oh, Freddie wants the deck now. He changed his mind.
Peer pressure. You see how that works?
He just likes the discussion. That's all. We'll keep discussing even in the deck.
All right. So here we are, chapters 6 through 9. Okay. I think you guys get the pattern of looking at the homework. Usually it only takes 3 of them for me to critique before people start to figure it out. I know this is a smart group, so we're not going to worry too much about it. So chapter 6 through 9, and I'm moving really fast through this book now, okay? Because he gets a lot of case studies, and I want to go over the case studies. Anyways, he talks about the need for having a framework, because otherwise people just say things and it's hard for us to collect that information and make any sense of it. You're just becoming basically a note taker. So the image, and I've used this image before, it's like the left side is the client And oftentimes we talk about the brain dump. They're just spewing out stuff. Like, I want this, and this is the brand history, and let me tell you about this. Let me give you context. We've all met those people. CEOs, founders of companies, they move really fast, and they talk even faster. And poor you, designers, sitting there like, oh, how do I website? Well, I mean, you want to rebrand, refresh, and you like Apple, but you don't like this. It's too much for me to process. So the way we work around that is we have some kind of framework to organize the conversation. And why would we do this? What does it look like? Well, when you can organize the information, you can develop client recommendations for new business pitches. You can uncover strategic threads that inspire conceptual ideas. This is all the reason why you would do it and what it could look like. You can use the threads as a basis for developing strategic documents, such as creative briefs. That's what we would consider discovery when we're doing core. You can organize your notes in a kickoff meeting and serve as a group strategy sessions or a thought starter tool, something to kick off a brainstorming session. So he likes to organize things into 4 columns. This is his creative strategy framework. So when he's talking to clients or doing research, he has 4 buckets to fill. Is this talking about the target audience? Are these just purely facts? And then the feature and the benefit, and the message and objective. So they all get organized in here. Okay? So you guys can literally use this exact same framework database when you're talking to a client, when you're doing research. Put it into these little things. It forces you to make a decision. And then there's some things that you want to do there's some rules, okay? First thing is when you're first starting, gather as much information as possible without editing. So if you're facilitating this with a client, a lot of times people shut down ideas. And sometimes I'm guilty of this too. I'm like, oh, that's dumb. And I have to keep reminding myself, no, I don't know where this is going to go. So let me just gather information. And if somebody cuts somebody off or somebody's talking for too long, I, as a facilitator, have to make and hold space for people to talk. So then you can impose a certain time limit. Okay. Once you've done that part of the gathering, you want to start to eliminate certain things and prioritize. Now that you have the whole picture, you can start to see things. For example, if you see 3 comments that are very similar, you can group them together. So now we're looking for quality. And there's other things that you can do, and I'm getting into this. And then what you want to do is then connect the dots. And the way he talks about this, he talks about connecting the dots across multiple columns, and then they're seemingly unrelated. That's strategy. That's surfacing insight. So when you look at things that are happening with a customer in this column here, things that are happening to the customer, and you see a feature and benefit, and they're not necessarily aligned, you're like, wait a minute, the customers are like this. We have this benefit, but we've thus far have not communicated that benefit to the target. And that's going to achieve this objective, more conversions. Okay? So we've talked about this before. When you guys facilitate, you're looking for something, and that something that you're looking for are these unconnected, what is it? What did he use? These unexpected links. I hope that makes sense. And if you're not doing this way, you are really a note taker. So when you run core and they say whatever they say and you just strictly write it down, you're not able to connect this in a meaningful way, you've really just barely done core. That's not what it's about. Okay. Now, what you can do with this is you can write a brief, which is what we call for discovery. You can create relevant design concepts. This is a springboard for your ideas. And for people like Jared and people who want to get into messaging, you can actually write copy once you're able to highlight and group these insights together. And you can make recommendations to your clients. That's really important. Okay? All right. What are these tips about? Okay. When you're doing the framework, whether it's core or this one, don't worry about it's got to go from target, facts, feature, benefit, etc. It can be totally, you can jump around. You can fill it in as you find it, as you hear it. Don't be too caught up in like, okay, I'm in this stage of the thing. That's why in my version of core, I keep it 3 columns, and I say to them now, whether it's the root problem, the solution, or whatever, we just jump around. We don't really care. So sometimes something sounds like a solution, I move it there. Well, we don't even know what the problem is. So it's totally okay to go in random order. And what you're looking for, in his words, I think, is finding the gold. So some other tips as a facilitator: keep it loose. This is where this next one, negatives are good. This is where Jose and I disagree. He wants to keep the conversation and facilitation always positive, to take negative words to make them positive. But I actually find a lot more about the brand and how we can solve those things if we're able to listen to the negatives. Negatives can be positive if you know how to flip them. And in the book, Douglas talks about how there's a gap between what they say and what clients or customers feel. And you need to recognize that. Okay. And he says, don't settle for low quality answers. So if you hear something that doesn't sound quite right, dig deeper. And later on, you can refine the word choice. So if you wrote down some words that sounded okay but weren't specific enough, you can do that later if you can't do it live. And what you're doing is you're trying to clarify everything. And he says, once you're done, you can do additional research. And here's how he breaks it down. You can look up historical information, brand perception, again, positive and negative information from reviews, blogs. What my friend Yolanda Santosa, how she does this is she tries to research and does social listening to see what real people are saying about the brand, not what they say. So she's going off their site and reading blogs, studying Facebook and Twitter to see what people have to say. The customer service ratings, it's not parody videos, it's parody. Sorry about that. And partnerships and associations. So when you're doing additional research, consider all those things. And I like these things because they're prompts. So if you forget what else to look for, you just kind of like, oh yeah, let's go read a blog about the brand. See what's going on there. Okay. Turning strategy into actionable communications planning. Here we go. And if anybody has questions, Amy, you're still live, right?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Should have got.
Let's see. There's just like some chatter. Keone says definition by what we are or what we aren't.
Is that a question or a statement?
A statement with an exclamation mark.
Okay, then I don't respond, right? It's cool.
Yeah.
All right. So here are 3 questions that you can use whenever somebody's saying to you, okay? What are the real underlying beliefs or behaviors of our target audience, and how can we connect with those beliefs and behaviors? These are like his 3 golden questions. And what is the best way to actually reach our target audience? This one comes up a lot. Clients will prescribe to you, we need to do this to reach these people. And you can just flip it right back. Are we sure that this is the best way to reach them? Because from the description of who your target audience is, this does not sound like where they need to be. Guys like Aaron Pearson will talk about content strategy, figuring out where the audience is getting their news and entertainment and information from, and designing content to hit them where they are. And this is more a question for you. Whoa, what's that?
What happened?
Was that Matthew?
I don't think
I just heard
so.
I thought I heard a voice. Okay, never mind. Okay, and then lastly, how does the strategy become real and concrete? I think you have to ask yourself that. Because a lot of us will go through and do strategy, and then what do you do with it? And that's the biggest question our group seems to have with core. It's like, now I've done this, now what? What do I make from this? How do I make this actionable? So those are questions you should be asking yourself and your client. Anyways, that's officially the end of part 3. I told you this one is going to go really fast because I skipped all the case studies. I think you can read them.